All right, welcome to the AIS podcast. Today is a solo pod. I believe Nate's in like Mexico or something. He's chilling on the beach, drinking a margarita, and we are here. And we will be in Cabo, actually, this December. So we will be trading spots in about 5 months. So fair is fair. But today we're going to talk about the new generation coming into the trades. We're going to talk through how they work, what makes them tick, and some of the big differentiators between the Gen Z tradesman and that boomer that we all love to hate on. So I want to start off with the trades are declining, and everyone that's been in the trades knows this. If you've ever been in a situation where you're trying to hire, you definitely, it's night and day difference when you're hiring a 25-year-old compared to a 55-year-old. And some of those key things are, one, the skilled journeyman, master level craftsman. It just takes time to get to that point. AI doesn't fix it, right? Technology doesn't fix what you can do with your hands. It's tried, it's true, they've been doing it their whole life, and there's an inherent skill set and demeanor that comes with that. The trades are a proving ground. When you're working for a contractor and you're in the field and you're just starting out, every day is training day. You know, you have to go out there and give your best. You have to be a sponge. You have to learn, absorb all that information from the other tradesmen. But we're seeing a dramatic shift in how training and hiring is being affected in construction companies. So we're specifically going to talk about Gen Z, and that is individuals born between 1997 and 2012. This is, I would say, before the he-him movement. Well, maybe. I guess 2005, what would they be now? 20?
20 years old, yeah.
Oh, we're right in the he-him movement. We're right in the pronouns, right smack in the middle of it. We should have done a whole breakdown on that. So here's some things that we've researched and we found that these Gen Z people value. So the first one is work-life balance and mental health. And construction is inherently not the place for mental health or work-life balance. So it's kind of it's a tough one because depending on the field you're in, like if you're going into the union, good luck with work-life balance. You're going to be working 7/12s. You're going to be just hammering away at that job site, especially the travel. Like you're just going to be, everyone in the valley where we live in California travels 2, 3, 4 hours to get to the union job sites. And you don't really have a say over where you're working. You are subscribed to that union and they tell you where you're going. And so work-life balance, it's a young man's game when you get into the union, especially just trying to test out for your card. There's no such thing as work-life balance. Now, on the private side, on the residential side, you can achieve a greater work-life balance. If you're going into a specialty trade like painting or tile, flooring, and you're in a local company, oftentimes they're not traveling, past 30 minutes of their home base. So there's an inherent work-life balance there with the commute to work. The type of work you're doing is typically, scheduled for an 8-hour day. Most companies are Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30, 8 to 4:30. So there's a little bit more balance there. But when we get into mental health, this is a very nuanced approach in construction because mental health is very subjective. And what affects people's mental health is very subjective. It's not you talk to me this way, therefore my mental health is deteriorating day over day. Every day I work with you, it's just miserable, which we've seen that. But it's also just the mindset of being in construction. Like it is a physical, it is a laborious, it is a mental fight to push through. Oftentimes you're going to have to do things in not the best conditions. It might be 105 degrees outside and you're framing a house. Now, obviously, that's going to impact you physically, which then will impact you mentally, whether that's fatigue or whether that is like self-worth, if like things aren't going well. But mental health is a really tough one. And we found that in Gen Z, mental health is like and work-life balance is at like the top of their little checkbox when they're looking for a job. And it's tough for someone like me who, I'm a millennial, so like I'm well balanced, I like to say. I'm not as gritty and hard as a boomer. I'm not as soft as someone in Gen Z. But it's hard for me as an employer to look at the mental health side and really transpose that onto our culture and the work that we do and say, okay, does this person just not want to work hard? And that's what they quantify as protecting their mental health. Like they can't stress themselves, they can't push themselves, they can't, be in, maybe adverse conditions on a job site with heat and weather and, obviously physical lifting and laboring. So that's where like I have a very hard time with the mental health side. Now, there is a dark side on the construction, and we're going to talk about the boomers here, where mental health is important with the culture. And once again, culture subjective. It's one of these things that the company has tolerated things long enough to they just get more of it. And we see this with 50, 55, 60-year-old tradesmen where they were raised by swing that hammer faster, boy, crack that whip, get shit done. Like, let's go. We're working hard. Push, push, push. Get it done. We have a schedule. And it's a very authoritative, top-down, like iron fist approach to production and efficiency. And that's where the line is for me on the mental health. Like if someone says they have a mental health problem and it's subjective to worksite conditions, heat, weather, whatever, or physical exertion, and that's affecting their mental health, like that's the line where I say, okay, maybe you're just a weak individual. But the other side of that is when you have a super or a project manager or another field lead that's training that individual and they're very iron fist and very abrasive with that new hire that's in that Gen Z area, that's where there is it is a little valid with the mental health side because it is a different working culture. Now, the second top item that Gen Zs are looking for in the trades are flexible hours and meaningful work. And they value this over pay, which I thought was interesting. Now, to give flexible hours, this isn't an online e-commerce business. You're not going to be able to clock in at 2 a.m., clock out at 10 a.m., and then sleep all day, which it seems like most kids are doing nowadays, all the gamers. But one thing you can get out of the trades is meaningful work. And this is one of the big, big, big questions in our interview process is, like, what are you hoping to get out of this position that's going to enrich your life? Right? Like, is this just a job? Or are you just punching a card? Like, you're not going to make it that long, right? The work-life balance, the mental health side, you're probably going to fall off if you're just here for a job. But if you are truly a craftsman type DNA, you're going to get meaning. You're going to get purpose out of remodeling this person's home, installing these cabinets, doing this fine millwork finish. You're going to get fulfillment out of that. And that's what we look for. And it looks like the Gen Z is looking for more purpose in their work, not just punching a clock, which is a great signal. But flexible hours, it's pretty rigid. We're on a tight timeline. We do have schedules, and they are fixed hours in most trades. Now, some of the pros of this 97 to 2020 or 2012 class is the tech savviness that they bring to your company. A lot of we have one dude right now who, like, early 20s, he's like TikTok famous. He's banking, I want to say, almost like $10K a month doing TikToks. But he came to work in the trades, one, for meaningful work. Like, he finds purpose in it. Like, he wants to be able to be an artisan. Like, he's a tile setter, and he's gaining a skill. But also with that, he's bringing, like, a bunch of tech savviness to our company, which is interesting. I've been trying to talk to him. Like, dude, like, post us on TikTok, like, give us a little like, get us some followers. Because that's huge. The content creation that this Gen Z is bringing to your company is next level, and you should be using it. The reels they post online, the culture stuff that they're posting, like the gag, reels that they make about framers and all the construction trades, like that's gold for your company. But two, they also have this inherent skill to advance in your company, whether that be in the design sector with 3D modeling. They're very, very adept in just technological like systems. Like they just get it. Like they grew up with an iPhone in their hand. Like they understand how technology flows. And with the AI side of things too, we found our younger guys, because we're bolted on agents to every department in our company, and it seems like the younger guys just get it. Like they just understand like what this is, how to do it, how to use it, and how to leverage that to make their job easier, which is cool to see compared to some of the guys that that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, where it's like, what, an agent? What's this agent gonna do for me? These younger guys are like, yes, I could ask it, code requirements. I can ask it specifications. We can, take a picture of this job site and say, what do you see here? How should I do this? Like they're self-teaching themselves with this technology, which is really cool to see. Now, another big thing that we've seen is the drop in college admissions and the increase in trade school. So, one, the entry level wage for these Gen Z, they're mandating higher pay. Like I believe it's like 24 an hour in the trades is what people want to come in at. Compare that to like 10 years ago when it was like 15 or less in the trades. It's sometimes tough to stomach someone coming in with zero skill set, maybe a great attitude and might be a great person, but asking for more than I made as a lead tech when I was in the field. Like it's kind of tough to stomach that sometimes, but they will trade that for not having college debt, and which I think is great. I think it really piggybacks on the side of technology and all the information that's at our fingertips now. Like ignorance is not an excuse anymore. They know they can just go learn whatever they want to learn on ChatGPT. Like Google's been around for 2 decades now. Like they can just go on Google and get the answers they need. So, or YouTube. YouTube's huge. So they're self-teaching themselves. I think they see the value in learning an actual skill. I always think of the meme of like where the earth is healing. It's like all these men are coming back to manly jobs because college is now kind of a joke and anyone can learn anything. And it's like, yeah, men are being men again. Like it's nice. So here's some key stats on just our overall conditions in our industry. 30% of skilled tradespeople are over 55 years old, and they're all going to be retiring in the next 10, 15 years, which is terrifying. In our company, we do have a few individuals like past that 55 mark, and we know like it's a conversation within the next 5, 10 years. Like they're going to be enjoying their golden years, and we have to find people that can match or exceed that experience. And that's extremely hard to do and almost impossible, except unless you're just recycling, 55 to 60-year-old people. But that's not great for longevity. Now, in 2024, another trend we saw was trade school enrollment grew 16% and college enrollment fell again, which is huge because we need more young tradespeople. I think I've talked about one of our guys here at KHB before. He's like 27, 28. He's been doing it for over 10 years, worked with one contractor who was one of those older school, good quality contractors that taught him everything he knows. And now he's 28 and he just has an incredible skill set that's setting him up for a lot of opportunities within our company just because he is 28. Like he does have a good maybe 30 years in the industry before he's going to be, getting out of the industry. So people like that, it's huge. Trade schools, I think, are going to pop up everywhere. And that's something even at KHB where I would love to have a KHBU. And that's what every company, I think, should be looking at is how do we incentivize the younger generation to get into our hiring pipeline sooner? Like how do we start a little trade day for high schools, internships for seniors? How do we just get these younger people into our company sooner? That way, they're going to be set up for success. It's a win-win. You're going to have a longevity pipeline where you don't have to worry about turnover due to retirement or anything like that. And if you get the right people who want to be that craftsman, they want the meaningful, purposeful work, they're going to be a sponge under your individuals that are 50, 55, 60 that have the experience and will pass that down. So that's huge. That's a really cool stat to see that trade school is growing. Now, this is kind of like interesting key stat was 60% of Gen Z says they would consider a career in construction if tech and lifestyle were a part of it. And I thought that was really interesting. And when I read the lifestyle part, like tech, obviously that's not going anywhere. It's going to be a prominent bolt-on to every company. Like if you don't adopt this AI wave, or if you don't have systems that are driven by tech to make it more efficient, you're just not going to last long, or you're just going to stay a one-man show, which there's nothing wrong with that either, right? Like if you just want to be an owner-operator, that's totally cool. But if you want to operate a company, a business at scale, you need to have tech. But the lifestyle part, I thought was really interesting because lifestyle, once again, very subjective, like what these people want out of the lifestyle of construction. Because you look at the traditional construction lifestyle, and it's you wake up at 4, you got your Stanley mug of coffee, you got your lunch packed, you're going to be gone for a 14-hour day. It's going to be hot. You're going to bullshit with the guys. You're going to be building something. You're probably going to be bitching and moaning about building that something. And then you're going to go home. You're going to have a 6-pack of beer, go to bed, and wake up the next day and do it all again, right? That's the traditional, I would say, boomer field construction worker. Now, when a Gen Zer says lifestyle, what I think is not only money, time freedom, flexibility, all those things that we kind of discussed, but I'm thinking like company swag, company events, status, right? It is a big game of status now out there, and it's a big game of attention. So what can they do on social media? Like, is their job giving them an avenue to be creative and make them different than the other people that are their age? How many 22-year-olds are, hanging off a steel beam on a high rise? We see the famous photo of the guys building the sky rises in New York, all those young dudes eating lunch on the I-beam. How many guys today get to do that at that age? So giving them an experience and giving them a lifestyle that's unique, that then now on social media, they can push and they can build their own personal channel based around that unique lifestyle that they have at that company. So what that comes to me is like swag, like cool hats, cool shirts, nice trucks, nice tools, social media team that wants to like promote our guys, put them out there, put them on a platform, make them feel special, make them feel heard and seen by our clients and potential clients and other industry leaders. I also think of like company events, like our company, we're having one of our most profitable years ever. And I want to do cool stuff with my team. Like I want to go rent out the whole Giants ballpark. And just like we just have the ballpark, for the day. We're gonna go watch a doubleheader. We're gonna like have a private tour. We're gonna do all this stuff. I want to take them on a deep sea fishing trip. I want to pay for their family to go Hawaii. I want to like do those cool things for our people. And I think the Gen Z wants to be a part of that too. So it's interesting. Now, some other points about Gen Z. I need a coffee break here. Okay. Another thing about Gen Z is they grew up on YouTube and they learn different than the previous generations do. It seems that they are very visual learners. They can watch a how-to, they can watch a TikTok or an Instagram reel on how to do a framing method, and then they can kind of pick it up and do it themselves. Like kind of back to that self-taught thing, which I think is very interesting, where before, you might pick up a book by Larry Hahn if you're looking on how to cut a bird's mouth, or how to roll a truss or how to block or how to, install floor joists or whatever it may be. You might read that book, but now it's like it's visual, it's digital, and they're learning off of that stuff. And so some of the best employees that we've had self-teach themselves outside of work hours the things they want to know to advance. And we're very clear in our meetings, like, you want $1 raise? Like, show me you can do X, Y, and Z, and I could trust you to do that on a job site. And guys do that. Like, they'll go home and be like, hey, I found this cool trick for scribing and coping a crown. It's like, awesome, dude. Like, let's try it. Let's do it. So that's really gratifying to see as a boss too, to see that our guys care. They want to have a better craft. They want to refine their skills. But also, once again, ignorance is not an excuse anymore. You almost, and I've thought about doing this, but I don't think it's necessarily fair, but like mandate continued education outside of work. because it's such like everyone at home they're scrolling their phone anyway. They're already on YouTube. It's like, hey, like find 2 or 3 videos that you learned something from, and in our Monday meeting, like present that. Like show us what you learned this weekend. I think that would be a cool thing to do. It says they're likely to Google a framing trick or watch a how-to reel instead of, go to someone and ask them. Some are bringing content creation to the jobs, which we talked about, like the TikTok framers, electrician influencers, which is huge. It's, once again, gold for your company. If you can have content if your production team can also be your videographer team, that is a huge cheat code. Now, here are some key things that this Gen Z wants from the trades. And I can say this as a millennial too, because I took this path, is they want a clear path of advancement or they're going to leave you. They need a clear path of where they stand and where they can go in the company, or they will leave you as soon as they can. This is something that I ended up doing when I left and wanted to start KHB. Was I never really had a clear path of advancement. I was just swinging a hammer. I was clocking in, clocking out, and I was pushing for advancement, and I wanted those opportunities, but they just never came. So I made my own opportunity, right? Kind of the make your own luck type thing. So if you have a guy in the field that is skilled, great character, just a good person, and he understands, like you should be drawing a roadmap for that person. You should be letting them know, like, hey, in 12 to 18 months, I could see you being a lead. And then another 12 to 18 months from there, I can see you getting into superintending or maybe a project management, or it seems like you're really good with people and you understand what we're trying to accomplish here. I wonder if you could translate that to a client in the sales process really well. So just giving them opportunity, because once again, you can always, like if you have a great recruiting funnel and you have these people coming in from trade school and you have skilled people in their late 20s, mid 30s that are ready for career advancement, they're starting families, like they want to make more income, like give them the opportunity. Be like, hey, if you train someone to where you're at, where they're proficient on this job site, here's your opportunity to get out of the field or to go do this. And some people might want that. Some people might not. They might say like, hey, I appreciate the opportunities, but I really enjoy being a craftsman. That's totally fine too. That guy's actually a unicorn and you should keep him. Keep him happy at all costs. But they want a clear path. And I think that's something everyone wants. Everyone wants to know where they stand in the company. And I think that's a very important aspect, is making a clear path of advancement to your guys. Now, the second one was respect and a healthy work culture. So 0 tolerance for hazing or toxic bullshit. And that's, once again, where generations collide. The boomer generation, man, like I worked with a lot of those guys, and it is very much, it's a meritocracy. And even sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, they're still going to treat you the way they're going to treat you. Even if you have, taken your licks and you proved your worth, they're still going to treat you like the kid, like the baby on the site, right? They're going to talk down to you. They're going to belittle you. They're going to make fun of you at the one mistake you might make. And those types of things, Gen Z does not have any tolerance for it. They will leave you and they will go find something else. And this is something that actually isn't on our list, but that I've noticed amongst my friend group, actually in the millennial crowd, which I'm sure is translating to Gen Z too, is job hopping. People aren't afraid to quit. Like like golden handcuffs are a thing, but I would say at the higher C-level, middle management level, where like the golden handcuffs really do work and you can incentivize someone to stay. A 20-year-old who is, coming to work for your company, as soon as he gets treated like shit, like what's he got to lose? And that's kind of the mindset I've seen in a lot of these guys is, like, I don't need this. Like, I don't have to be here. Like, if anything, they feel the company owes them more than they owe the company, which is a complete shift from the boomer generation where it was like, we need to make the company profitable. Like, the company needs to make $1, I make a dime, like that type of mindset. That's just not a thing anymore. They will leave you at like the first sniff of BS. And so that's why, one, your culture in the company is huge. You have to protect that with everything you have. And you have to be purposeful about what type of culture you're instilling top down. Because once again, whatever you tolerate, you will get more of. And if you're tolerating some of this bullshit, you're going to keep getting more bullshit. So if you're tolerating a belittlement or people talking down to each other, and it comes in what I've found, bite-sized pieces. It might be a comment someone makes in the office about another employee that isn't there. And it's like, like, hey, it's top down, boys. Like, we got to make sure that we're respecting our guys, even if they do make a mistake and it was silly. Or we had a guy go drop like $1,000 on tools without getting any permission. And they have very clear playbooks, like this person can spend up to $500 without asking a question. He just has to report back. You know, the guy that had the $500 allowance goes and drops almost $1,000, and it's like, like, yes, it's very easy to kind of be frustrated and talk shit about that person, but that conversation needs to happen behind closed doors. We are not letting that spill into our culture. We're not going to let that ruin our culture, right? We're going to handle that professionally, maturely, like professionals. So those types of things, you just got to nip in the bud in your company, and they do come in bite-sized pieces. Now, another point, they want tools that don't suck. They want the modern software. They want clean trucks. They want easy workflows, intuitive apps for clocking in, clocking out, scheduling, seeing where they're going the next day. They want a tech stack. They want that cool stuff. Which I feel in all design build companies, you should have that cool stuff, because guess what? Your clients that are now millennials, they want that cool stuff too. They want an intuitive client software where they can understand what's happening, what's coming up, when their payments are due. They want that same tech stack. So if you don't have a sleek, branded, company culture-oriented software, you should be bolting that on ASAP, because you're going to get more clients because of it, and you're going to retain more guys because of it. Now, the last point of what they want from the trades was they want time off and they want boundaries. And once again, that work-life balance is what they're really looking for. A lot of guys, when they come in, they want the $24 an hour, but they also want the healthcare, the dental, the vision, the 401k with a match. They want the PTO and vacation time. And after work's done, they don't want to be contacted about work, which is... It's kind of like one of those, like, yeah, it must be nice, right? Like, that's kind of a utopian view on how work should be. I don't think it's unattainable, but some of the realities of construction just don't align with that, especially like office to field personnel wise. Like, the field might get off at 3:30. I might be working till 6, right? Or my ops manager might be working till 6, and he's building a schedule, and you're going to get a notification at 6:30 when he's done with that schedule. And, tough shit. Right? Like, that's just the way it is. We're here working while you're just working your 8-hour day. So some of those things aren't reality, but, that's what they want. They want time off. They want boundaries, but you can't get everything you want. Now, what contractors get wrong about Gen Z? So this is more of that boomer to Gen Z relationship, and even millennial to Gen Z relationship. And kind of how we view them, like our paradigm around that age. And oftentimes we're labeling them as lazy or soft or just unmotivated, kind of apathetic to what we're doing. They're on their phone. And those types of things are like very true. Like, optics are huge. I feel like at that age, they don't necessarily have the self-awareness of who they're talking to, what the situation they're in, the conditions they're in, and they'll just hop on their phone and start scrolling. And it's like, guys, come on. But there also is a big frustration and kind of a friction point when we're trying to motivate these younger people. One, we have to have the paradigm shift. Like, we're the older generation. They're just getting into the trades. Like, we need the ones that need to be a little bit empathetic and have a different lens when we're talking to these people, because they're not motivated by that old school mentality. They're not motivated by the grind mentality, like cracking the whip. Actually, I think about the carrot and the stick. Like, they don't like the stick, but they like a lot of carrots. Right? So, you just got to keep the carrot in front of them and say, like, hey, if you do this, we're going to have this. Or if you do this, you're going to have to do this. And then the good ones, they understand, input, output. Like, okay, if I show up on time, I do X, Y, and Z proficiently, the output will be X. And then once they start building trust in that they will get X if they do Y, well, then you just need to follow through as a leader, right? Like, if you say, hey, there's a job bonus of $500 on the line if we finish this job on time, everyone gets $500. Great. Well, if everyone finishes on time and then you don't do the $500, Maybe because another job went bad and you lost margin there, and that $500 bonus here was really going to save the company's profitability. Well, you just lost trust with that person. They're going to leave you, right? Once again, it comes down to like that BS. They don't want any BS. So another key point is that us as leaders aren't communicating the purpose of their position. Construction is inherently meaningful, right? Like contractors make the world go round. I think I spoke about that on a previous podcast about architects versus GCs. And it's like, GCs make the world go round. Like we build the world, all the infrastructure, all the buildings, the houses, the roads, like contractors get it done. It is inherently purposeful. We just need to understand how to communicate where they fit in that purpose. So that's something that a lot of owner-operators, or even I would say larger companies that are far removed, like the CEO or the main operator is far removed from the field staff, oftentimes that purpose isn't getting translated. You might have your mission statement, your vision statement, your core values, but they're just served out like platitudes to these new hires, and they're not really bought in. They don't understand the purpose or what we're doing. Or even worse, there's multiple people in the company that aren't bought in, and they don't align with the purpose either, and then it just spreads like cancer to all your new hires. That's the worst possible situation. So we really need to make sure as leaders that we are translating our mission, translating our vision, translating our purpose in a way that everyone can see where they fit into the puzzle. Now let's see. How do we attract these Gen Zs? Because, a lot of these traits may feel like this Gen Z person's entitled. They want the flexibility. They want the time off. They want the 401k. They want to start off, 2 times more than what you started off making in the field. And it does come off like surface level as like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, what do you mean? The other side of that coin is we need them, right? We have to embrace them, and we have to figure out a way of how to get them into the workforce and make them a cohesive part of our team. And so how are we going to attract these Gen Z, this younger generation? And one of the big ones we already touched on was start a training program, start an internship, create the XYZ Contractor University in your town, right? Like take a Saturday and bring these kids in and show them how to, do a framing layout for a 16 on center wall. Show them how to plumb a shower valve. Show them how to install a P-trap or install angle stops or all these little like knick-knack type things. Like just get them interested in real life situations that they can do around the house to help out their mom. Or if maybe they're just moving into their first place, like these are life skills that they could use in their home. Like show them the value in what we do and the skills that they would learn. Second one is show off that company culture. Be active on social media. Be where these people are. Like recruiting nowadays isn't just posting on Indeed. It is having a company brand and a culture that you can showcase on all these different platforms. Whether that's like we used to do Monday meets where in the office, our videographer would go around and he would have the camera on one of our staff and they would say, hey, my name's X and I do X. I love being here because Y. And then that was the reel, right? Like we just go around to every person and do that. But like showcase your people, showcase your culture. Like these people are looking at that, and that's a great way to get just some organic traffic into your hiring pipeline. All right, so to kind of recap all of this, there's gonna be some bumps in the road hiring younger staff and having them fit into that older generation. That's just inherent. I don't think that's construction specific. I think you see that everywhere, even in tech, where a lot of these people, they're just going to opt for the least path of resistance. Like a traditional 9-to-5 job doesn't seem attractive to a lot of this younger generation, and they're just going to go start an e-commerce brand, or they're going to build AI widgets, or they're going to white label AIs and try to sell it, or they're going to build a course with AI and try to sell it. They're going to go for the least path of resistance, and that's just the way this generation is. So to recap some of the pros here, Gen Z, super tech savvy. They're fast learners, visual learners. They have a fresh perspective on what they're doing. Like they want to see the purpose in what they're doing. They're motivated by growth and having clear deliverables. They want to be creative. They want to be in a company culture that fosters creativity and that entrepreneurial like mindset. And they care about themselves more than they care about the company, which you can't say that's a bad thing, but they want their mental health. They want their PTO. They want those boundaries. And then some of the perceived cons is the lack of work ethic. I think we've all seen that. That is a thing, like the phone distraction. They also don't like abrasive management. They don't like being yelled at. They don't like tough love. They have a very low tolerance for that type of stuff. And they're not afraid to leave, which is probably the biggest one that we need to focus on here as business owners is job hopping. You know, you spend 3, 6, 9 months investing time, resources into onboarding and training and recruiting and all this stuff. And then they just leave, you know, they just go. They don't like something. They got one red flag. They just job hop. So we need to figure out a way to be a sticky company. We need to be high retaining of our people, and we need to put our people first, which is one of our core values here at KHB. And it should be a similar core value for all you guys that care about your people is people first. Like people, process, profit. Like the profit takes care of itself if you take care of your people. The score just takes care of itself. So that's the meat and potatoes, but we're going to get into the best part of our podcast here, and that is crimes in construction. So we had a bunch of really cool ones from Australia, but they just put a paywall up, so we can't read the freaking article. But I was really excited to go down under today. But what we're going to do is go to Iowa, and this is a super silly crime. This guy stole over $60,000 in equipment from the University of Iowa Healthcare Hospital and started wheeling and dealing on Marketplace and eBay and got caught. So this guy, 56 years old, booked into Johnson County Jail Tuesday for ongoing criminal conduct, theft, and several other charges. According to the court documents, Grimm is accused of using his job as a contractor to access and take medical and construction equipment over several months while the hospital was being built. He advertised all this equipment as new on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, and then he'd sell them at a discounted rate. So he was actively selling stolen equipment until his arrest. He had obviously no idea that he was getting, kind of profiled on this. And most of the stuff he was selling was like FDA restricted equipment that you can't even possess unless you're a doctor or you have a national provider identification number. And so once again, this is a great testament to why you need to charge your worth. Because if this dude was charging what he should have been charging on the projects he was building, he wouldn't be worried about selling $60K in equipment from a freaking hospital. Charge what you're worth, guys. Don't resort to stealing. Crime doesn't pay. And if you do the crime, you will do the time. All right, so that does it for AIS. Like, share, subscribe, comment, give it to a contractor friend. I hope you guys got some value out of this Gen Z podcast because it's super relevant with anyone that has hired in the past, 5 years. It's very relevant. So thanks for listening. See you on the next one.